Yeah. Good morning to all those in India, and a great day for others in any other part of the world. It's a big honor to be able to host this session as part of the jam that's been created by Train and by RAI and CMAI, and most importantly IBM. I think it's a nice set of people coming together to try and bring in ideas that can help retail to go forward. It's a session where everybody gets to contribute, and we believe that co-creation is the way forward, and this is why this whole jam session has been created. I do hope that everybody who is listening to this, everybody who is seeing this subsequently, would be able to come in and give their thoughts on how various ideas can be taken up in retail. uh, we've got two stalwarts with us, two people who represent brands that uh, we as Indians for sure, and even people globally, are very well accustomed to. Damodar Mal, who himself is a brand, and Damodar Mal has also been is the CEO for Reliance Retail. He handles a whole lot of work that is related to food and various other jobs that there with Reliance. But he's a veteran in the retail business. He's an expert and authority. And we've also got Lavanya with us. Lavanya is from the Nalli family. Lavanya, for most people who are in India, is one of those people that I think many Indians are very proud about, because she comes in from a lineage of a great brand. I keep telling that if you are a South Indian, it's possible that more than 50% of at least the sari segment, if not the various other segments in the house, would be from this brand called Nalli. And the beauty of what's happening with the Lavanya is that it represents a brand that's really a big, let's call it a cultural requirement for all of us. And at the same time, she represents the modernization concepts in various fronts from their company. So she's also the vice chairman of the group. And so I welcome both of you to this session. And I do hope that we can add value in this session. And I'm sure what we talk about here would become some of the things that would trigger lots more conversation in the jam, the rest of the jam sessions. So thank you. I
Thanks, Kumar.
would thank you. So without much ado, I will jump firstly to Lavanya. Mm, Lavanya, this pandemic, what comes on top of your mind in about 2 minutes? What's happened and how are things different?
Um, Top of mind, I think it has just accelerated changes, which probably would have unfolded in retail over the next 5 to maybe 8 years. And I think it has shortened that to maybe 5 to 8 months. And I speak from the perspective of retailers, but also a lot of folks in the chain. Right? In terms of the channel, the distribution strategy, the marketing strategy, I think all of that has gotten disrupted um, because of the pandemic, because of the social distancing, because of the inability to gather in crowds and the disruption to the supply chain. Because while all of that was unfolding, we've had the technology. And folks who were internally, or organizations who were internally maybe a bit resistant,
Mhm.
I think have had to accelerate. So that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Very nice. Good top of mind. What about you, Damodar? The same question for you.
I think what has changed for all of us as consumers
Mhm.
in this pandemic is uh, appreciating and going deeper into things that we do at home. A translation of that, there is a lot more meaning of what we are doing at home with people at home. And for retailers like us, it means the in-home consumption goes up. Uh, and that to me is a change that has happened from the consumer side and the demand side. And I think for supermarket wallahs, grocers like me, and all my colleagues, it's also been discovery by the society of the role and the purpose that we serve. Suddenly, the our day job of providing quietly providing everyday food to homes went up in the hierarchy of what the society appreciated uh, because of this lockdown. Uh, everything else that lockdown brought, we have all seen. But these to me were new things that we were not prepared for, and we are now, we've learned to deal with it and live up to the expectation of the society.
Very, 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 very interesting. I think both of you gave a super perspective of what's top of mind. It is interesting because even as Retailers Association of India, to me, it brought in this whole purpose of what an association can really serve. Because everybody came together, the sense of collaboration that happened during this period, the sense of knowledge sharing that happened, and the feeling with which people came in for every other individual, and that relationships have got built up much nicer during this period.
Yeah.
I think it's an amazing way in which we all relook at our relationships, definitely. The other thing that has happened is something that I always suspected, because I ages before used to work with IBM, and we used to keep telling that geography is history. And the true meaning of that geography is history came in during this pandemic for all of us. I don't think I've ever attended a meeting where our quorum was less than 90%. People just are available on time, much better than what otherwise would happen. So these are the two things that really came in: the collaboration and this whole timeliness, everybody coming in, the ability to surpass physical boundaries has made us do different things altogether. I will go to the next thought process. And this is a thought process that many people have been asking me, and therefore it's a big question, is about what is happening to the ecosystem that we all work with. It's all changed. And what are the key changes that you've seen? Again, Lavanya, you can tell me first, because you work with a whole lot of people, from a supply side to your distribution side to your selling side. So how has that changed? What are the new things that has happened?
So I think it was the pandemic and the resulting actions of the government and everything, has really been a major disruption. And in that disruption, I think there's been innovation. From the supplier side, so I won't go into product innovation right now, but the ecosystem innovation, right? There are many of these sacred cows when we work with our weavers, where they say, no, there's a certain way of doing things. It has to happen like this. And especially fashion, products, saris, color, texture. So we have 3 NID designers right now working with us, and we have our own designs, which historically we've always brought out without putting the Nalli label on it. We just bring it out along with all of the other products. They generally go to Kanjivaram, sit down with the weavers, work with the weavers. It's a very involved process. So you design, then you work with them, convert it into graph paper, then you see the first samples, then you're there for some of the more complex weaving techniques. And all of this was just, before the pandemic hit, it was just understood that this cannot be done in any other way. You have to physically be there. You have to see the cloth. You have to see the yarn. And you have, because the color is so important. You can't see it on a screen. When this happened, the business still has to go on. Products still need to be made. So we just found a way. And the reality is, I think it was more of a mindset shift. Those tools have always existed. See, the technology now in 2020 is very different from what it was even 5 years ago. So the technology has always existed. Things like color, there are ways with Pantone shade cards and all of these other like yarn cards where we could do it. Within, I think, a matter of 1 week, which is startling if you look at it, they shifted to a completely virtual model of being able to work. I'm not saying there were not hiccups, but from folks who have thought this will never happen, we can't do it, you can't see color, you can't see texture, you can't, we've completely shifted, and all it took was like a week's time. And then now everything, the sampling, all of that is still happening in that way. From the distribution side and from the retailing side, of course, the biggest shift has been, I think, for a very long time for the incumbent players, which is the retailers who have physical store presence. The e-commerce channel was always seen as a optional channel or a discounting channel. this is where we liquidate our inventory, because this is only for bargain hunters. Who on earth would want to go and buy that too fashion online? And that too saris. Wouldn't you want to see the color, the texture, put it on your shoulder? But what do you do when that's ripped away? What do you do when people are actually under lockdown? They can't physically travel, or they're scared to travel and gather in crowds, or malls are shut down. But still, events are there, functions are there, weddings or something or the other is going on. So now both the consumers and the retailers have had to shift and have had to look at e-commerce as a viable solution, and either build their own or go through some of the existing portals, or go directly on their own through social media, which was not really a shopping channel. It was always seen as a marketing channel. Now it's a true shopping channel, because there's shoppable ads on Instagram, there's shoppable ads on Facebook. And I think for the first time, people realize how easy it is to set up, right? And it has become a level playing field. So I think that shift has happened both from the weaver side and the artisan and the manufacturing side, as well as like for the larger stores, as well as the larger retailers, as well as the mom and pop stores. Folks all across the chain have realized, okay, the technology has always existed. And now the consumer also, to Damodar's point, has got that shop. And now when those two things have collided, I think that's where the acceleration has come in.
Actually, I've got one more question on the one that you put, because it's interesting. It's from your side, you're not really sitting physically. Your team was not sitting physically with the weavers. How did the weavers feel? I mean, is there a sense on how did they feel because of this?
Initially, I think they were a little bit, so I'll put it this way. No one was happy about change, because no one is happy about change. But out of necessity came this determination. Okay, because end of the day, we're all still business people, right? Entrepreneurs, weavers are nothing but creative entrepreneurs.
Correct.
So on some level, I think there was a determination that we have to.
Okay.
We can't say no, right? Because otherwise, what do we do? They can't travel across states, because the state borders only open recently. So somehow through internet issues, through connectivity issues, now they figured out a way. We even have ways where in a strange way, we do our merchandising also with we do a sampling and all of that, where they'll send you the sample, they'll send you the pictures, then they'll do a video call with you, right? Then they'll physically send over the sample to you. All of this has really happened. And I don't think the mindset would have been there before the pandemic. Now, out of necessity, people have just come around to it. And you're seeing it from the consumer side as well. Now, you can no longer make the argument consumer is not ready. Consumer has to be ready.
Correct. Yeah, very, very interesting. How about you, Damodar?
I completely resonate what Lavanya mentioned. This is shock has prepared us for change. All of us, everybody in the value chain, like never before. If I had even discussed with anybody in the industry that we would take these global luxury brands that we sell only in malls and only in half a dozen important malls in the country, and these customers who are traveling around the world, if I had said that for a family in Indore, I am reserving my store of a global fashion brand for that hour, and that family and the store team are on a video chat together and they are shopping, the associates are trying out clothes for them, displaying everything, and then telling them that your clothes which you choose, that these are expensive luxury brands, will come to you fresh from the warehouse. Everybody would have thought I'm talking rubbish, but it's happening. It's happening as we speak. So I think to me, the big thing that happened is, and I see that as the Amrit coming out of this Manthan, is the customer is so ready for new things to be offered. And anybody able is no longer a fence sitter on digital shopping.
Correct.
And we in grocery suddenly know that, I'm not talking to a digital shopper who started on e-commerce by buying a mobile phone or buying some casual everyday fashion, but somebody who is starting to learn to buy gold winner oil uh, and podi for the first time on e-commerce. So I have to, and that person is there, very much there, and I have to make sure that you can buy namak on my site by searching in WhatsApp language, which is what all of us do, which is use the Indian languages but type in the Roman letters, so you can search for salt on our platform by in dozens of different languages. So I think the other one that happened for me is the first to respond, and respond how to this customer change, was actually the good old nimble neighborhood grocers and kirana stores.
Yes.
They did not need to serve this customer remote. In any case, I always say that half of our kirana stores business was already e-commerce because it was already home delivered.
Correct.
So they knew that they need to serve. They just changed the methods, the slips of papers, how the phone calls became WhatsApp orders and Google Forms that people started using, and the kirana stores became digital in their own innovative way almost overnight. I think all of us geared up later. We are slower to react, but I've been amazed in whatever limited manner that I could see how the entrepreneur retailer really responded to this change in. We've seen entrepreneur retailers in grocery responding to change in tastes,
Correct.
change in new things and brands that the consumer need. That's the story everybody tells. But here, the consumer was ready for a change of business model, and the kirana stores really lived up to it. So that to me has been the fascinating flip that happened. And we can only be inspired by what these guys do.
I actually have one more question with you, Damodar, knowing that you are one of those who always first follows customers. I mean, I've known you enough number of years to know that your ability to understand retail comes in from your deep understanding of what consumers are doing. Can you give us some inkling about what do you think is changing for the consumer? You touched upon it, about this whole work from home requirements. Maybe a slightly deeper thing, what's changing them and what changes have you really noticed? Some 2 or 3 things that you think is worth noting.
We are all in the business of modernity. All of us in organized retail are all in the business of, we are agents of modernity. We are agents of change. And old set habits are the friction for change, are the inertia that people hesitate to come out of to change. And I will use a silly analogy, but it'll make the point. Habit is like marriage. You do it in a trusted manner. You do it without effort. You live it. And this customer of ours, in looking at her shopping channels and habits and products that she was buying, from marriage she moved to dating. She suddenly became very open to new things that people are offering. She's listening to solutions that other people are providing, and if she's open to dating, then we are actually the platforms of running monthly Swayamvar for her. So I think I see this whole change. Actually, Lavanya touched upon it from how it has changed from our side. But for what we do as modern retailers, this is accelerated, and the pitch just started turning in our favor because of this very change in the customer's mindset. She's so open. It's not funny.
That's a nice analogy. You think that this has made customers more romantic in their approach, huh? At least from the point of view of a shopping thought process.
Well, she's shopping around to talk our language. She's shopping around for a change and not buying the same thing that she did last month. So
Yeah, which is true. I mean, none of us could take anything for granted. So everybody had to use new things, think about new things. Suddenly, for me, sitting in my house, a samosa that would come in from Guru Kripa, which my local kirana was willing to sell to me, became a big thing because I didn't have to go to the Guru Kripa place. The local kirana understood that something that the customer wants, he is able to provide, which is never provided in so many years. I've known him. I've known him for almost 25 years. But suddenly he's bringing in new items because as a consumer, people are asking. And
Kumar, for me, it's more fundamental than that.
yeah,
For landed on your plate, you did not know, as typical consumer, you didn't even care where your kirana was and what his life was. Suddenly it became center of your attraction. You started being grateful to
to
the
the
simple
kiranas.
things that
Yeah,
that
yeah,
all of us do.
yeah. I think that you very, very clearly stated that it's the whole thing is become from this mundane to the more purposeful, mundane to the more essential. I think the very term called essential that was put up at the start
Yeah.
of this whole pandemic, I think had a big impact to the way people looked at this segment, for sure. The food as a segment specifically. Uh, Lavanya, I'll shift to a slightly different question. Uh, Technologically, I mean, you touched upon it slightly. What is it that you think you are looking at, not purely as technology, not telling about this, but what are the various things that you want enabled with technology as you go forward
You mean as a retailer or?
as a retailer for your business? Or what is it that's there in your mind telling, I want to do this, I want to make things happen like this? Anything that you're thinking?
So
It
in our
may or may
case,
not be available from your perspective currently, but whichever.
so I'll start with where we were and how we adapted or what has gotten accelerated from our end, right? And then I'll lead off into your question. In our case, luckily, I think about 5 years ago, I rejoined the family business, 2016. And before that, I had done a stint abroad and then I'd done a stint at Myntra. And when I was at Myntra, and I was with the revenue team, so I was a VP there, and I had seen firsthand really, yes, there's bargain seeking behavior, but behind that, there were shifts. And these were the early movers from the consumer side. So I was sold on the idea, having seen it from the inside, right? And I'd seen desktop, mobile usage, mobile browsing becoming actually mobile transactions, and how the acceleration was there on the smartphones and the features and the ability, right? So when you just map all of those macro factors, you see there's a momentum and all of them are going in one direction and it's exponential. It's not slow.
Correct.
So exponentially internet speeds, exponentially data storage costs are reducing, exponentially, all of these other platforms are coming up and they're modularizing and democratizing every aspect of what used to be a fairly, how do I say, for a fairly predictable and reliable system for so many years. So they had already started disrupting it and consumers had started taking to it. 2016, when I came back, I had started the e-commerce business because I believed in it. And even in 2016, which wasn't too long ago and which was still, quite recent, there was still a lot of concern, hesitation, doubts, both internally as well as from some of our most loyal customers who'll take that luxury of walking into the store and say, what is this? Sari, you have to touch and feel. You have to see it under the light, then you have to take it out into the sun, then you have to put it on your skin. How can you buy it like this? You can't buy it like you're buying some, some tomatoes or something like that. But I was sort of sold on the idea. And I said, no, this channel, if we don't disrupt ourselves, we will get disrupted by the players that today you may underestimate. But they're working and they're nimble, and you see where they are headed, right? They're in the technology space, which is accelerating. There's momentum everywhere, from marketing channels to technology channels to customer experience and everything. So by the time you realize, they would have already been so far ahead of you in the game. For you to just catch up, you have to completely enter a totally different field that you're not aware of. That was my thought process, and I started in 2016. Luckily, because of that, the e-commerce division had already turned profitable and was already self-sustaining when the pandemic hit. Because we did it in our own way, without funding, without external funding, without going into major losses, in a family business, self-sustaining way, right? Without doing discounting. So once I'd proven that business model, when the pandemic hit, there was an initial disruption overall to the chain, but then this was almost like the part of the company that got a shot in the arm. There, during the pandemic was when we really unlocked a lot of these things, which are ideas. Live commerce is a term, but it's basically nothing but it's like what we are doing. This is a live conference. We're all sitting in different locations. You're in Chennai, I'm in Bangalore, you're in Mumbai. But isn't this seamless? And the conversation is seamless, right? And live commerce for that, you have a person who's sitting there, someone who's in the store. Now what we've done is we've set him up with with the gimlet and the lights and everything. We've given him a way where he's able to sort of do the video chats with the customer. The customer he's able to still see. The customer is sitting there on their end, surrounded by their family members. Everyone now in their family is there, crowded around this phone, looking through the phone camera. And here's this man saying, okay, look, this is what I have. This is in my selection. And exactly mimicking the behavior of the store. Okay, I like this design, this color, but you give me something in this budget. I would like this color, but I don't like this border. And it's the same experience of the store, but that's brought here. And I think it was just a mental switch of the first time we did it. The first time we did it as retailers, we educated our store folks. The first time the consumer did it and they got adept at doing it, had video calls and stuff. I think we really realized, wow, it's that easy. Where would I want to see this going? For the first time during the pandemic, a lot of folks, like Damodar said, a lot of people who had never purchased online are coming online. When I was talking about 2016, I'm talking about the sophisticated customers, urban or maybe semi-urban, but still sophisticated customers. Now, what I really want to see is totally seamless. The customer experience is there, but still the payment is clunky. Right? You still have to go, you still have to register, you still have to type, you still have to go through the payment gateway, then you get an OTP, this, that, and the other internet issues. WhatsApp payment is there now, but not everybody is on it. It still goes through certain hurdles and certain verification. I think if there's a way where even that aspect is totally seamless, then all the consumer has to do is shop. She comes, she selects, she shops. That's the part that, especially for our business, for sarees, this is the part women love. The part women hate, standing in line. The part men hate, paying for their wife's purchase. So I think in that certain aspects, we can look at and say, okay, these are still areas which we can improve. How do we improve it? How do we truly make it seamless? And then they don't want to wait. As quickly as possible, I saw it, I liked it, I want it in my hands immediately. And I want to know, when am I going to get it? I don't want to sit here anticipating. I want to know when am I going to get it, and it's seamless. I think those are the aspects now where it was built for a more sophisticated audience. And now we're really looking at, but now, grandmothers are coming online. 70-year-old women are coming online. They don't know anything except WhatsApp and FaceTime. And they're doing it, right? How do we make the last part of that journey, the payment and the delivery and the logistics, equally seamless? I think those are the parts where I wish that, and sorry to say, but I wouldn't look to the US for this. I would look at China and say how they're doing it. That's where the market is moving, especially for the e-commerce and the technology journey. That's where we need to look at and bring some of those learnings with us.
So I'm sure part of it, Damodar would be able to answer also. I mean, there are lots of people who are talking about video shopping in this seamless thought process currently. I've seen a few of technologies coming up. There's somebody who sent me a deck again, but I'm sure each one of you are seeing new decks almost every single day. Quite interesting, very, very interesting. Are you also seeing traction from this? Once you just mentioned about this whole social media and social commerce. Are you seeing traction there?
Yes, I think it's still, it's a little clunky from the business side. Okay. Because I think Instagram and Facebook still haven't opened up fully. Mm-hmm. My understanding is, shoppable ads work, but you need to have a Shopify account. If you don't have a Shopify account, then you need an account manager. think about the problems, right? These are how do I say, bureaucratic problems. You need an account, you need a person, you need a manager, you need this and that. Otherwise, you can't, right? Facebook is only opening it to a few select people in India. I look at it and I think, this is ridiculous. The market is ready. Consumers are ready. Small-time entrepreneurs are ready. Why is big business getting in the way? Why is big tech getting in the way, right? Sure, you can get in the way, but you know what will happen? Innovation will find a way. So if big tech gets in the way, if we can't do shoppable through Facebook, small-time entrepreneurs are nimble. They're known for speed. They're known for being laser focused on what the customer wants. They'll find a way. They'll do WhatsApp payment. They'll do something else. They'll say DM me. They'll find a clunky, ugly method, but they'll get it done. There's truly, I think there's a lot of places. See, payments is there. Social media used to be seen as a marketing channel. Now it is not. It's a shopping channel. It's everything end to end. It's where you get influence, it's where you discover, but it's also where you can transact and shop. You're able to close the whole loop there. So now we're still talking e-commerce, but I don't know, in a few years, maybe websites become obsolete. Sabyasachi has fully gone online onto Instagram, right? And maybe that is the way for the rest of us. Now we're still talking about taking sarees, putting it on yourself, taking it into the sunlight. But maybe there's a way with AR, VR, where if the consumer has the headset, or the consumer has even just a camera phone, why can't she see the same product rendered on herself? Why can't she see the same color rendered on herself? These are the places where I really think technology can go. And now people are actually thinking in this direction.
Fair, I agree with you. You've also given a whole lot of leads, in my opinion. I'd like to see to Damodar also, because I think Damodar's been involved with a whole lot of new types of innovations and innovators. And this company is now doing lots more. So Damodar, two parts. One is technology, and the other part is your favorite topic. What will happen to the Kirana? And where do you see changes happening there? How are you all collaborating and stuff like that?
Yeah. So infrastructure and technology, to me, are two things that are best when the users don't feel them.
Yes.
Yeah. So if they feel, I think graphically, Lavanya described how the technology steps, and she used some good names like bureaucratic bottlenecks, etc., how technology steps are actually saying, please don't forget me. You are shopping on MyMa. Please don't forget me. I'm in between. I'm standing between India. But I think, like infrastructure, like the good bandwidth that we are all working on, it is best when you don't have to bother about it. It is best when you think you're not on a video call. You think you're having a chat with Lavanya and Kumar. I think when that happens, we are winning. And technologies are all known. I think the challenge that I would like to put forth is when the consumer is only video call, WhatsApp, Facebook and YouTube literate, and she barely knows tuta futa English, and her service provider, and she got into having a credit card 2 years. I'm sorry, I'm a grocer. Lavanya is a sari seller for both of us. Consumer is a she, so we'll keep referring to her as she. So for this customer, if the service provider is Chheda General Store, who is the third generation dependable neighborhood savvy service provider, but is new to technology, and both these parties are keen, given their own limitations and abilities and their single-minded revulsion to extra cost in their life. If both these people are really willing to embrace technology, I want technology to deliver for them. And if they deliver there, all of us in the organized sector will really salute them, because all our problems will vanish like that. The toughest bleeding edge challenge for technology is to deal with these two entities in India, because I think that will unlock a lot of technology-led commerce, which hasn't happened so far. So voice, augmented reality, seamless payments, basically get out of the way.
Yeah.
To me, it is like the expressway. I understand when I start my journey, you charge a toll for me. But after that, you get out of the way. I'm just
Correct.
enjoying the ride and the breeze and the speed and the comfort. So don't put in a 100-kilometer journey, if the expressway puts 7 toll gates, how would you feel? Don't do that. Is what I would say for technology. And I think there isn't a better timing for this, because these toughest customers for technology that I mentioned are more than ready for this. I think that's if that would change the game. And I wouldn't want to look at anywhere in the world. I want it to be for the big tech houses. I want it to be the India problem and an India opportunity. Because there isn't a country in the world where people speak dozens of languages. There isn't a country in the world which is actually over-retailed, where these micro retailers are willing to provide services to all this. So let's not say, what can I tweak from my global package and implement in India? Let's say, let me solve the India problem. It's a large enough market, it'll actually become a global practice. That's how I look at technology.
If just leading off of that point, sorry, I'm speaking out of turn, but something I completely agree and resonate with what you're saying. And it's what I meant by saying, big tech gets in the way, which is so mind-boggling to me, right? Because this is your chance. When there is acceleration that's happening in the country, when there is a necessity, everybody, consumers, retailers, supply, demand, everybody is on the same page. It's mind-boggling to me how big tech is getting in the way. And I say it like it's big government, but actually what I mean is true. Everybody's on Facebook. Everyone's on Instagram. Everyone is on WhatsApp, right? Facebook and WhatsApp, Instagram, actually all three of them are the same company. And there are these bureaucratic holes, right? It's not very democratized yet. You can't very easily go in there and put up a solution and then, set up the payments and all of that. It exists in the US, but they haven't brought that to the Indian markets. And to Damodar's point, you're exactly right. They're adapting it. And I think sometimes what happens is historically, I guess, when you see this, if you go back just as an academic study and you see historically how innovation has happened, it stems from this. It stems from a need is not being met seamlessly. It is inconvenient, it is difficult. And then that's what causes new tech to come up. In India, at least in Bangalore where I live, there are so many startups. I know at least 3 of them, I apologize for the noise. I know at least 3 of them who are right now thinking about this, saying, look, I have clients who are not on Shopify, who are, sort of smaller businesses. They have a social media presence online. They want to sell. I have clients who are totally on WhatsApp. They don't have a WhatsApp business account. WhatsApp business account costs a lot in India, but they want to sell. They're literally taking this model and they're trying to crack it. And these are all small little startups. Someone's garage, someone's terrace, 6 boys in a room, IIT engineers, right? And that's where I think you're going to start seeing that wave soon, right? Because if the technology doesn't adapt to India, I think India will adapt to its own demands and its own opportunities.
Kumar, before you come in, I deal with these technology teams, global technology team, as a part of my day job. I think they are trying a lot. The kind of thing that they are doing in a hurry is really admirable. And when they do it, it's sturdier, it's more reliable, it is scale ready. So I'm saying eventual solutions are more likely to come from the big tech firms only. Retailers and consumers like us are upping the bar of expectation, because the opportunity seems so ripe and ready is how I would put it.
I do think that what you've said is very, very relevant, because on the one hand, there is this expectation from the big tech. There's equal amount of expectation that a whole lot of new startups would come in and help. And we all know when startups do something and it's successful, they then get absorbed by the big tech. I mean, that is the beauty of an ecosystem that you create. And that collaboration is what makes it interesting. I mean, for example, most of our deliveries, right? I mean, sitting in Mumbai, I found about new sets of people who could come and deliver items from somebody's house and bring it to me. I mean, I would normally go to various parts of Mumbai, but when I couldn't travel, I was able to get some courier to come in and take up an item from my in-laws' house and bring it to my house, for example, right? And there are various people that came in of help, and small tech, then bigger companies invest into them, and that's the beauty. I want you all to think about people, but I'm going to take 2 minutes to try and summarize what's happened so far, because I think that's important for us. And then go to the people part of the question, because people who are working with us, who are associated with us, have also gone through a change. A small answer from each one of you to talk about what do you see from a people angle is important. Uh, I would but go through this summation slightly so that it's helpful for all those viewers who've come in here. To me, it's absolutely revealing. I'm so glad that I got the two of you onto this panel, because it's created new ideas, new thoughts, new insights. It's wonderful. I think the first thing that Lavanya did talk about was accelerated changes that got done in because of what's happened in the pandemic. She talked very clearly about what could have otherwise happened in 4 to 5 years has happened in a matter of months. I hear it from various retailers, and I'm really thankful for this thing that came in. Damodar, your understanding about how consumers rediscovered their own houses, or rediscovered what they needed in the houses, what we now call it as work from home essentials. Sometimes I think I hear people talking about that. It's a very important part. You spoke about that very nicely. This whole role and purpose of this Kirana getting changed is again something that Damodar you brought up, which I think it's beautiful. I think all of us are so thankful. We all believe that India bucked the global trend in this. I think everybody, there was a run in the supermarket is what we heard as a terminology before. And we didn't go through that process at all. We did have some issues, and I know Damodar, you and me worked very closely along with the other retailers to solve that whole supply chain issue. But we never spoke even once about how do you reach an item to the consumer. Whereas in other parts of the world, it was always how do you reach that item to the consumer that became an issue. It's beautiful. Disruption to the sacred cow. I think, Lavanya, I use this term the way you used it, because it's a very nice word. And I think that whole sacred cow concepts, even with the way you deal with your viewers, is a nice thing that happened. E-commerce is available solution across, and this whole social media that we spoke about is something that you spoke about, Lavanya. Video shopping is another thing that you also spoke about, which I think it's amazing. This terminology of Amrit Manthan that Damodar talked about, and I think it's a quotable quote. This whole Amrit Manthan during this whole period is an amazing thing that's happened very nicely. And I think this thing about who are able are not fence sitters. I think you used it very nicely, Damodar, again. Who are able are not to be fence sitters anymore is one thing that came. And the Kirana has changed the way we use and the way we relate to them is another nice concept. Customers moved from normal marriages to dating, rediscovering new ways of relating is, I thought was a nice analogy that you used. And it's beautiful. E-commerce beyond just offers, Lavanya, is something that you reintroduced to us, and it's nice that we got to learn of it. Again, e-commerce can become profitable for family managed businesses is something that even yesterday I had a whole lot of people from the Kutch Corporate Forum that spoke to me. In fact, I have a meeting with them today, and I'm going to use this word of yours that you can do e-commerce and become profitable, and concepts like video shopping can become a very nice way to take things forward. Social commerce is something that one should keep an eye on. Lavanya, is something that I want you to think about. Infrastructure is best when you do not see them, is what you told Damodar, and not tech is important. The tech companies should be visible, but it has not to be it should not be a worrisome thing either for the consumer or for the Kirana is important. Last part for people before we shut down. For people, we've got maybe 1 minute. We are already beyond time. 1 minute each other. What do you see with your people? Damodar, you want to come in first, and then Lavanya can tell. What did you see with people?
The store associates that we work with, I think we learned what purpose and what culture is from them during the pandemic. Yeah. They said, they chipped in. Nothing in my SOP or nothing in my incentive package would have prepared them to walk for 6 kilometers and be beaten by police on the way. That kind of uncertainty in the beginning of the lockdown. I think they're driven by their role. They're driven by their societal calling. And that's something that we discovered. All we had to do is to make sure that the workplace was safe for them. And we provided a safety net that included not just all our associates, but their families as well. And they knew this whole daily symptom tracking and AI engine working in the background with all associates as our data points, etc., was there to help. But why should we work? Why should we service? Why should we work hard when only half the people are able to come to the store? Is not what we taught them. Is actually what we learned from the associates. I think that's the way I would say I learned during the peak of the pandemic.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. I mean, hats off to all those guys who went into the store, fought through all the. I mean, everything was against them, but they still did what they needed to do. It's quite amazing. Yeah, there's no other way to explain what could have really urged them to do this. They also have families, but they did what they did. Lavanya, from your side.
So I think similar. The main thing that came in was focus. I think during the pandemic, before the pandemic, in a very sort of dynamic market, it's easy to get distracted. This other guy is doing this thing, he's doing one sale, that one has a discount, he's introduced some new feature, right? Something or the other. But I think when such a disruptive event hit, and there was that total ambiguity in the months of March and April, rolling lockdowns, extended lockdowns, people are unsure, when is this going to end? When is the change going to happen? What I witnessed personally was from a people standpoint within my own organization and everyone across the value chain, there was tremendous focus. Suddenly, all that the store salespeople cared about was what does the customer want? My core customers, my loyal customers, because they have a good relationship with them. Some of them even have their phone numbers and everything. So they call them up and they'll say, listen, my daughter's wedding is still happening. And then that store person will come to us and say, she lives over here. I will go there. I know what she likes. I'll take these some pieces and I'll show her because she's right here. So they became totally focused on, I have my customers. I will serve my customers. They have reached out to me. I need to somehow or the other get their needs met. The weavers are still like, look, somehow or the other, we have to get it done. Shipments, moving of raw material, working the looms, somehow or the other, we need to get that done. Of course, within the protocol, within the government regulations, following all of that, but they never lost their core focus. Previously, I think it was easier to get distracted by all the things that's happening in the market and everything that competitors are doing. Your mind goes in this track of, we can also do this, we can also do that. Now there is no we can also. This is what you're supposed to do, your main thing. And for us as a family as well, because this is the first time in my lifetime, in my career, I'm seeing something like this, where there's, I spoke to my father about this and I said, in my life, I've never seen at Nalli, where every store is shut down and you have zero sales. I've never in my life seen something like that, because every day you get used to it. Every day you keep seeing the sales numbers coming in, the cash registers ringing. In retail, that's how it works. The whole thing just shutting down like that. And then my grandfather said it happened during the war. And he's talking about World War II. He's not talking about any of the other wars. He said it happened during the war. And after that, it's happening now. But what we saw as a family focus is, again, that absolute focus on, okay, look, this is our company. It's survival, it's thriving, it's innovation. In this time, what matters most? Our books are solid. We don't have high leverage, rent and everything. Luckily, we don't have too much rent. Most of these are owned properties. Where we do have rent, we have very good relationships with those folks. We have very strong, lasting relationships with our weavers. It goes back generations. So it just came. All the basics just came to the forefront, where it's all about your business relationships, your business partnerships, protecting your employees. They're an extension of your family, right? Because now they're also going through all of these uncertainties. And I think we saw across the board, leaders behave like leaders, salespeople just started focusing totally on customers. Designers were only focused on whatever the weaver needs. I'm here, my job is to get the merchandise in. My job is to resolve all of their problems. And that really helped.
Thank you very much. I think we've overrun the time, but it's amazing. I mean, this whole sense of purpose that you talk about, this focus that you talk about, and the self-motivation that Damodar talks about. I think between that self-motivation and that sense of purpose, people did some great things. And our thanks to everyone who's kind of helped in making this happen. And my special thanks to you, Damodar, and to Lavanya. I think it's wonderful that you could take time and have a great time ahead. Thank you. With a lot of cheers and I'm sure all of us feel very positive as we go ahead.